Do I look like I've got two things?
What did you just say?
Do I look like I've got two buns coming out my head like Princess Leia in Star Wars?
No, you don't. Welcome
Just
back
looked
to
at it and it just seems really quite odd, but never mind. I should go with
no,
that.
you look great. Welcome back. Welcome back, guys, to Rick and Elaine discuss the Bible and in particular the book of Job. And I say in particular because Elaine and I actually spoke yesterday. We didn't record because our internet was lagging, but we did talk about some other things, and we're going to start doing that routinely now. And so,
Yeah.
in particular, today, the book of Job, and then later it'll be in particular other books or other topics or whatever else. And
And if
so,
there's any topics that you would like us to go into a little bit deeper, we're going to go into Genesis 1 to 3, and we're going to bring in relevant stuff. And yeah, that's one. And if there's anything out there that you particularly would like to go into a little bit deeper, if you want to sort of say, well, what do you think this means? We're open to that.
yeah, I love it. The more that they talk to us, the better. And I've got several
Absolutely.
comments to go over, but today in my mug is Acme Machine. That is my company logo. If you've ever watched the Looney Tunes, which was a
Sorry
big
about the face lunging.
no, it's good. There's Looney Tunes,
Yeah, the Acme, beep beep,
Acme,
Roadrunner.
yeah,
What does it mean?
Acme, a company that makes everything.
Oh, Acme.
Uh-huh. And then also Acme is the apex or the top of something. So that's kind
Well,
of
I
like
suppose you could call Christ the Acme then.
he's the Acme of all things. Absolutely.
Absolutely. They're the zenith.
Yes. Guess what? We have a new commenter.
Oh, that's
We
so
do.
wonderful. Hello,
And
new
it
commenter.
and it happens to be Pastor Alan Thompson's wife. She became a
Oh,
member of our Patreon.
oh, how
Thank you.
wonderful.
Her name is Dina Thompson.
Hi,
And
Dina.
Dina sent this message. Another honest and wonderful study. But hold on, wait a minute, one second. I
Is
think
that, did she actually
she
write that?
she did, and she commented. Let me go back. I think she commented on the one prior. Let me be sure about that. I think she did. Whoa, there's some music. Yeah, she did. She did. Okay, so let's read Dina's first comment. This is from episode 9. Hello, Rick, and hello, Elaine.
Hello. Hello, Dina.
Rick knows me already, but I am Alan's wife, Dina, and I can't wait to hear you say it, Elaine.
Oh, bless you, Dina. Love you already. I actually
Dina.
do because you're the child of God. So you're my sister in Christ, and I love you already.
Yes, I hope you can meet her. She's so wonderful. All right,
You've got
I
to all come over to Spain.
we just need to go to Spain, guys. Let's go to
Big
Spain.
entourage.
Yes, she said, I love LOVE is capitalized this study.
Oh,
I have
so do
always
I, Dina.
yes, I have always been an Old Testament gal, and this is honey to my soul.
Bless you.
I appreciate your raw honesty about struggles. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for blessing me. Well, thank you for blessing us. And so
Yes.
let me go back to this new comment. Forgive the noise because it's going to make noise. All right. And her comment is for this week, episode 10. This past week, another honest and wonderful study. I am thankful for the encouragement and blessing God gives me through you both.
Amen.
This you are being this you are being punished mindset is sadly still taught in many Christian circles today. I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
I grew up hearing that my entire life. I know now that is not the case. We still live in a fallen world, and as we walk through it, there are going to be troubled waters. I am reminded of Jesus telling Peter, Satan has demanded to sift you like wheat, but I have prayed for you. And
Amen.
when, and he says, and when, not if, but when you return, strengthen
Yes.
your brothers. That's good. That's a good insight.
Absolutely, Dina.
Thank Jesus we do not have the accuser who can demand us like wheat, who can sift us like wheat any longer, but just to know that when the rough waters come, Jesus prays for us.
Amen.
Yes. How beautiful is
Amen.
that? Thank you
Yeah.
both again for being willing. Thank you, Dina, for those lovely comments. And you're 100% right. I agree with you.
Absolutely. And what I love words. I'm always looking up words, Dina. I'm looking up Hebrew, Greek. I'm always looking up words because really what we get from the Bible isn't really the whole input. It's not as powerful, it's not as deep, it's not as meaningful. I'm always looking up words. And the words that you use there actually stir, they move, they spur, they do all those sorts of things to other brothers and sisters. And that's what we're supposed to do. Rick and I were talking about that yesterday, It's not necessarily knowledge. It's not necessarily sort of like how much you sort of like can, come down on somebody else with another scripture or whatever. It literally is like what we're doing is, like you said about the honesty. It's beautiful to know that we're all sin and fall short of the glory of God, but it's through Christ that we have this righteous standing. We don't have to pretend. We can go to our Father, go to each other. What did it say? Pray for one, go to one another, confess the things that you have and you find difficult. And in that, there is such strength. But if you're trying to hide it all because you're, a bit of a fake Christian, or you are a Christian that really doesn't know how to own who you are before God, I think that's where the problems come into it. But when there's an honesty, like we're talking about Job, getting back to what we're going to talk about, Rick, when there's an honesty about it, there is a freedom in that honesty, because nobody can accuse you anything. Was when you know and you've admitted it, what are they going to do? It's like they've lost their power.
You have picked up on exactly what we're going to talk about in today's study in chapter 15, because you're right.
We didn't even discuss it, did we, Rick?
No, we did not. You didn't get any notes from me because I've been so slammed, but that is exactly what we start to see in Job as he becomes more freer in his talk and his openness to God. And because of that, it really does squash his friends, and what they're saying. But let's get back to the comments and then we'll get into it. So Dina's husband, Pastor Alan Thompson.
Hiya, Alan. Hi there, my bro.
Hey, y'all.
Hi, y'all. Come back here sometime.
Hey to my brother and sister. Love you and thankful for another great episode. It was so good, I had to listen to it twice.
Oh, I mean, honestly, my husband can't wait to be shut up.
He says, once at work and again at home, who do I talk to about getting you guys a pay raise?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's all free. Receive free, give free.
Well, honestly, those two, both Alan and his wife Dina, have donated to the Patreon. So thank you guys, because that does help us in producing this and paying for the software. And it's, some of this software is pretty expensive. So thank you. That's awesome. But it is free. We put it out for free. But anybody who wants to donate, thank you. You can do it through
Absolutely.
Patreon. There was so much good stuff in there. I don't know where to start. And y'all have a nasty habit of this kind of thing in every episode. I love it.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
I'm just going to keep it concise and say thanks for yet another golden nugget with the discussion of the name of God used in context as being El Shaddai versus Yahweh. That is something that I've brought up many times, and I don't get a lot of answers and people talking to me about it. But if what he's talking about, guys, is if you go to Exodus chapter 6, you get into the complete Jewish Bible, you can actually read where he says, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob knew me as El Shaddai.
That's right.
He had not revealed his name as Yahweh, but he reveals it and he says it to Moses, I am Yahweh. And it happens to be at the time whenever the Egyptian Pharaoh has said, now you have to get your own straw. So the people are under even more pressure, more suffering. And they have not entered the Sinai covenant yet. God has just remembered his promise to Abraham and what he said would happen, that they would be enslaved for over 430 years. He's remembering his people. He's sending a mediator who is Moses, and Moses and Aaron operate as that mediator for the people between him and Pharaoh. Yep. That's where it begins. That's that court scene. But when he's up on the mountain, or he's up away, and Moses is like, why are you doing this to these people? Ever since I've spoke, it's become worse. And then God opens up and he says, my people, they've only known me. And Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, their fathers have only known me as Shaddai. I am Yahweh. He is the one and only God, the one and only God that is for Israel. And that's what he's getting ready to show. And so, yes, it's a powerful move, because when you hear that word used in Job, you know that this is prior to Moses, that this is prior to the revealing of that name. So it definitely locks it into the patriarchal period. Now, I don't care. Like I said before, it can be written during the time of Solomon or even after. It can be written during the time of after Moses in that area during the conquest or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that the author wants you to know where this takes place and how Job is responding to his world and what's happening under suffering. And and being human, and what religion is and what it's not, and what a pure religion is versus a false religion or a horrible worldview that's brought on by tradition. This wisdom literature is really unearthing that. Powerful. It is beautiful. And I never knew this about this book. He says, thank you for the beautiful reading of the text, the engaging discussion that connected dots all over the place in the scriptures, as well as our contemporary scene. Thank you for the prayers. They are offered for you both as well. Thank you, Alan.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you for
Bless you.
everything. There was a discussion of Tony's music at the beginning of the show, and I can't let the opportunity slip me by. Now, just so you know, I sent the email to Elaine, but I didn't do it till last night, so she hasn't seen it yet. But you've got it in your email, Elaine. You can check out Tony's music.
I will do.
You will find, and I've got a comment from her that you're going to like here in a minute. And then you down here, guys, if you go into show notes from last week on episode 10, you'll see the link. You can click on it and go listen to Tony's music. It is so fun and it's wonderful and it's uplifting and it's great. You'll find a genre you like. And here's what he says. Here's what Alan says. Everyone needs a little metal in their blood. So, Elaine, I highly recommend that you try the Hard Rock playlist and listen to it with teased up 80s hair.
Oh dear. I might try that. I don't know whether I'd sort of like be that good. Can I dance around the room at the same time?
If you want a quick and easy lesson on how to get your hair that way, simply stick your finger in a light socket or in an electrical socket.
Exactly. That does help. I've heard. Not that I've tried it.
And he wraps up his comment saying, holy kisses all around from the Thompson household. Mwah. Holy kisses to you.
Exactly. The same to you as well.
Absolutely.
Again, just that name in Hebrew, it's Yod Hey Vav Hey, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, they're the letters, and letters stand for something. And Yod Hey Vav Hey means hand, behold, nail, behold.
Yes, hand, behold, nail, behold. What does that tell you?
Exactly. So therefore, when they place it above Christ's head, it's like, we've got it spelled out Yahweh, and that's why they were complaining, because if you got it in Hebrew, it spells out God's name, and they didn't like that because it says it's there, it's all there. This is what I'm saying. It gets lost on us because we don't really delve and dive into what these letters mean. The letters themselves that make up the words. You take a letter out, you've got. I mean, it's like Adam, Adama. Adama is the person, but you've got the soil. But if you take just Dharma, that means blood.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got blood within it's just splitting it down, and it gets bigger and bigger, and the glory of all that God has sort of like placed into everything just gets bigger and bigger, and you just rejoice in it. Honestly, you just rejoice in it.
You do. You learn when you get to the original languages, you learn the reason why God chose those languages. It's incredible. I love it. I love it. All right. Tony Driver. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Tony. Good morning.
Rick and Elaine.
Yes, I got it right.
You did. Good afternoon.
I did. Mind you, she might listen to it in the afternoon, in which case I've actually got it wrong.
Yeah. Good morning, good evening, and good night. So, Rick and Elaine, this episode was especially meaningful. Job's shift from defending himself to speaking directly to God is such an important turning point, and you both handled it with great care. I really appreciated the way you highlighted the danger of shallow theology and speaking for God in ways that miss his heart.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you for creating a space where scripture, suffering, and real life meet. I'm grateful to be part of this journey. Now, directly to you, Elaine. I'm 57, she says.
Ooh.
So I hope you can make it to the conference. I'd really love to see you and talk with you. Also, what genre of music do you like? Sometimes I do write songs inspired by our studies here. So listen to this. I told her that I really liked a band. And I really liked this one song. It was called Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. And I said, that's one of my favorite songs. She wrote a song for me in the genre I liked, and it was phenomenal. And if I can remember, which I probably won't, but I'll put it in the show notes for you guys to listen to. It's a powerful song. And she even wrote some songs based on our Job study. And they're on.
Oh,
yeah, see?
Oh, wonderful. And that's so strange, really, because I actually love singing. That was one of the things that I used to do. I used to sing a lot. So I love
what
singing.
Genre?
I like soul. I like blues. I like country. I don't like rock or heavy metal. I'm not into that at all.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't like that.
I am. I love heavy metal. I love rock. I love rap. I I love soul, R&B, blues. I love
Yeah, I
all the
like
genres.
R&B.
All
Yeah.
the genres. I love them all. They all have their own.
Gospel. Love that sort of thing.
I like gospel music, but I don't like listening to like quartets. I mean, sometimes I do, but if like I went to, I got dragged or drug to a quartet convention once, and I was there for, oh, I don't know, 11 hours. And by the end of it, I was done with quartet music for the rest of my life.
Mm.
And I remember saying this on the podcast years ago. It was ironic to me. There was this one quartet that came out. They were wearing pink suits and they had white ties and white shoes. And they were singing this song about um, David and Goliath. And when I was looking at it, I thought how weird it was because I was like, can you imagine these four men in pink and white with white shoes, wingtip shoes, or these, whatever they look like. And if you were to take that scene where David is over here slaying Goliath and eventually cuts his head off with his own sword, but you got these guys over here singing in this harmony, it is the most bizarre thought. Putting those together, they
Well,
just
that's
don't
quite
even match.
interesting. I mean,
It's a weird match, yeah. Quartet music isn't for me, but I will listen to it sometimes, and sometimes it's good. All right, she says, Rick, it will be great to see you again, and hopefully we won't have any more snow this year. So that was in regard to I'm going to come down and visit their church. Hopefully, it's going to be sometime in March because I'm actually going to Arkansas to speak next week, and then I'm going to Texas, and I'm actually going to visit Rick Carter down in Beaufort, South Carolina this weekend. So it's going to be a few
Well, if I
weeks.
do come over, I would like to see again. It's such a long way to go. It takes about 9, 10 hours.
Yes.
And I have to go from Alicante Airport to Madrid first of all. I need to be able to maybe if you were going places to see people or whatever, like otherwise I'm there for a week and coming back home. I want to stop and go and see various things. I mean, not saying stop with you for 3 weeks, Rick, but I'd like to go to various people. And, if there's anybody out there that would have me, I'm just sitting in the public square.
Yeah,
Just,
well, you can if you're anywhere close to me, you can stay with me the whole time you're here, and then if I'm sure anybody else would invite you in, I think that would be wonderful. That's the point.
I don't eat much.
Yeah, just a little bit of bread and water.
Well, I tell you what, if it's bread and water, it's better than some get.
That's true. All right, so here we are. We're getting ready to get into Job chapter 15, but before I
That's
do,
what I like. That's what I like, Laurie. So yeah, no, not Laurie.
Tony.
Tony. That's what I like, Tony. So yeah.
So Tony, if you write one, send a link, put a link in your comment next week, and then I'll share it with Elaine, and Elaine can go and hear a song if you write one for her, which I think would be awesome.
Exactly. And then I'd love to sing it.
Right. Oh yeah, even better. So
I'd love
okay.
to sing it, Tony.
I thought about doing sort of like a brief recap or overview because something hit my mind whenever I was getting ready for this study. And that's this book. I don't know about you, but it shocked me. This book is not what I thought it was about. I've read it my whole life. I don't know how I missed it all these years. I think I just skimmed it as I was reading it and just kept in my mind what I'd always been told about it. So I'm learning things about this particular book and about myself and about the overarching theme of God dealing with men and what it was like from the fall and back to redemption. Job takes place in a particular time, and Job has a particular approach, and it's his only approach. It's the only one that he's got. And I think that's the point. The author wants you to see, and he sets it up in a way to where it forces you to look at suffering in an entirely different lens. And that's because the worldviews that we know, and we've carried them even to today by our own moral lens, our own use of good and evil on our own, we measure suffering based on sin. We look at calamity based on, actions,
What have we done?
voices, things like that. That's what we do because that's our moral lens. That's the way we build our systems. And the author of this book wants you to see that that's not how it actually works.
No. It's
What
like going
we
behind the
lost.
curtain, really, isn't it?
What we lost with God, now we're learning what it means to get it back and what we actually have lost and what we need in order to get it back. So we should understand. I wrote this to Elaine. I'm going to read a little bit of it because it's just easier. I wrote this in a Elaine that she hasn't read yet. So this is all new to her.
Absolutely.
By now we should all understand and know that this book is not about figuring out why Job is suffering.
No.
We're not trying to figure that out. That question has already been dismantled from the reader in its prologue in the first
That's right.
2 chapters. We know Job is not being punished, that he's not hiding some secret sin, and that he's not even under divine correction. None of that is happening. The author gives us that information up front. The book is not mysterious to solve. It's a wisdom text meant to expose something deeper. What is really being examined is how humans speak about God, how they speak to God, and what kind of faith remains when all of the easy explanations fail.
I think this is the thing. I mean, as outsiders, we're looking in on it, aren't we? And we know the whole story. We know what's going on. We know the beginning to the end. So we can see a lot more because it's unfolding as Job and his companions are actually speaking. But for us, we already know what's going on. So we've got a greater insight to actually put the insight into it even before they've understood what's being gotten at here. So
Yes.
it's even doubly revealing to us because we grasp it, we get it, we understand it. And so again, it's like Dina said, you know, it really is, it opens up, like she said about the honesty that we've approached stuff. It is about understanding that honesty is the only thing that you can ever be, because in that honesty, you get peace. You find peace.
Freedom.
There's redemptive quality in that peace, isn't there?
Yes, absolutely. And when you mentioned his companions, so it's important to know something. His companions they're not actually like villains in the hero's story. They are representatives of a religious system or a worldview that only works if suffering always equals guilt.
They're just representative of people.
They are.
Because they're still the same today. Nothing new under the sun.
It's how we measure the world. It's how humanity, we still do it.
Absolutely.
We still do it. Job refuses that framework, which means that Job was wiser than them because he knew something too that they didn't, which was he knew that he hadn't done anything. And he brought it up earlier on. And he says, God, is this about something that I've done in my youth that I don't remember anymore?
That's right.
Are you bringing all this up? Like, take your hand away from me. Put my sins over here. Give me Give me let's stand before you. I'm trying to communicate and understand. So when Job is responding to his friends in that long, 3-chapter deal, it was shocking for me that, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, after hearing everything that he said, what possibly could Eliphaz say to this man? Like, how is Eliphaz going to again respond? Because let's just think about Eliphaz for a minute. When he first speaks, I think he's the oldest and probably the most wisest of his friends.
That's probably why he goes first.
That's right. And I think Eliphaz also, when he begins to speak in the very beginning, remember, he has a sort of a personal touch to it, where he's like, I have this experience. I saw this thing in the night visions. Think about it, Job. Think about how all this works. You've seen it. You know it. You were like, he's just talking to him sort of like man to man, almost like an equal. And then Bildad comes in. He's like, let's trust tradition. He's coming in a little bit harder. And he's like, we need to, you're just a bag of wind, Job. You're just talking. We know better. And then whenever Zophar comes in, and we talked about him most likely being the youngest and being the most hottest and like coming in hard. Kind of
that is youth, though, isn't it?
That is youth. It
youth
really does.
Coming in hard usually is lacking in experience. They've not lived life.
But we also know that we can't even trust that thought, because sometimes youth doesn't matter. Christ was only 33 at his death, and he was the wisest to ever live. So we can't look at that and say that's a measurement. Youth is a measurement of wisdom. It's not.
Get that.
Right? And this book teaches us that. We'll learn it as we go. But what we're getting ready to see in Job chapter 15, and Elaine, I want you to read it. We're just going to read chapter 15 right now. We might get into the other books, but I want you to notice that Eliphaz is going to escalate. And the reason I want you to notice that is because I want you to think about the conversations that you've had with people in regard to your faith or in regard to your circumstances in your faith. Whenever somebody talks to you and they are on your sort of at your equal when it starts, whenever you don't give them the control or the controlling narrative a lot of times the argument will escalate. It will become more heated or a little bit more angry. And that's because the control has been lost. And that's what's going on with Job. Job has taken this away from them and he is more free. And he's saying now, like, I'm going straight to God. You guys, I'm not listening. I'm not talking to you. You guys, I know. I already know everything that you know. I'm talking about something else. And I'm looking towards the one, and he's the one that's brought this on me. Ultimately, he's the one. And so I'm going to the source. I'm going to him. And they're like, no, you can't talk to him. You gotta, right? They're sort of coming in, but Eliphaz is going to escalate. So if you would, Elaine, would you read chapter 15? And guys, again, put down your devices, close your eyes, just think. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But just listen carefully.
It does help.
It does. This is Eliphaz speaking for the second time, and he's lost a little bit of control. And I don't know that he's lost total respect for Job, but he has lost some, and now he's coming in.
Right. Should a wise man answer with hot air arguments? Should he fill up his belly with the hot east wind? Should he reason with useless talk, or make speeches that do him no good? Why, you are abolishing fear of God and hindering prayer to him. Your iniquity is teaching you how to speak, and deceit is in your language of choice. Your own mouth condemns you, not I. Your own lips testify against you. Were you the firstborn of the human race, brought forth before the hills? Do you listen in on God's secrets? Do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we don't know? What discernment do you have that we don't? With us are grey-haired men, old men, much men older than your father. Are the comfortings of God not enough for you? Or a word that deals gently with you? Why does your heart carry you away? And why do your eyes flash angrily so that you turn your spirit against God and let such words escape your mouth? What is a human being that he could be innocent? Someone born from a woman that he could be righteous? God doesn't even trust his holy ones. No, not even the heavens are not innocent in his view. How much less one loathsome and corrupt, a human being who drinks iniquity like water? I will tell you, hear me out. I will recount what I have seen. Wise men have told it, and it wasn't hidden from their fathers either, to whom alone the land was given. No foreigner passed among them. The wicked is in torment all his life, for all the years allotted to the tyrant. Terrifying sounds are in his ears. In prosperity, robbers swoop down on him. He despairs of returning from darkness. He is destined to meet the sword. He wanders and looks for food, which isn't there. He knows the day of darkness is ready, at hand. Distress and anguish overwhelm him, salting him like a king about to enter battle. He raises his hand against God and boldly defies Shaddai, running against him with head held high and thickly ornamented shield. He lets his face grow gross and fat, and the rest of him bulges with blubber. He lives in abandoned cities, in houses no one would inhabit, houses about to become ruins. Therefore, he will not remain rich. His wealth will not endure. His produce will not bend the grain stalks to the earth. He will not escape from darkness. The flame will dry up his branches. By a breath from the mouth of God, he will go away. Let him no more rely on futile methods, thereby deceiving himself. For what he will receive in exchange will only be futility. This will be accomplished in advance of its day. His palm frond will not be fresh and green. He will not be like a vine that sheds its unripe flowers, grapes, and an olive tree that drops its flowers. For the community of the ungodly is sterile. Fire consumes the tents of bribery. They consume trouble and give birth to evil. Their womb prepares deceit. Wow. I mean, that is like, take that. That's a beating, isn't it? That's a verbal beating.
What's really odd about it is in comparison to his first, when you look at his first response or his first speaking to Job, after Job opens up the conversation, to his response now. And in essence, what he's doing, he just described, first of all, Eliphaz is wrong. He's completely wrong, because saying all of these things about the wicked is not accurate. according to the first two chapters. It has nothing whatsoever. But all the things he starts describing that happen to wicked men, we know are the things that happened to Job. So he's trying to tell Job, like when he talks about the fire, right? The fire comes in or the robbers come in. Remember, the Sabians came in and destroyed and
That's right.
killed. The fire from heaven came down and consumed his livestock. So
That's right.
when you start hearing all these things, Eliphaz is putting two and two together, which I've always found to be
Making five.
Yeah. Basically, he's looking at Job's condition now, and he's picking them apart one by one, all the things that happened to him, and showing him how that is wickedness. He knows. So when he starts off, when he says he accuses Job of answering with empty knowledge and filling his belly with the east wind. Okay, so I was like, why do they keep talking about the wind and the east wind and this? It's in the ancient world, the east wind was symbolic. It meant destruction, hot, arid, and dry. It meant like lifeless, right? So that empty knowledge or filling your belly with this east wind was just, you are dry as bones. You're meaningless. Okay.
Basically, it's dead, isn't it?
Yeah. And what he's saying, what his problem is what's coming out of Job's mouth, because he's looking at him. He's like, this is dangerous. What you're doing, it's destabilizing my worldview is what's really going on here. So he's at this point, he's not really correcting Job's theology as much as now he's policing Job's speech and his tone because he's losing control. Have you ever been in an argument and watched somebody just absolutely go bananas, and you're like, where did that come from? So
happens a lot.
Oh, yeah. So he's saying that Job is speaking with like unprofitable talk. Now, that is weird because what I picked up is that Job is beginning to see the things that he lacks as a human being.
Well, it's starting to become very personal now, isn't it? He's starting to sort of attack the man. Before, he's sort of saying, well, could you have done this? Let's think about it. But now he's actually starting to attack the person based on what Job said in the last 3 chapters.
Right. Yes. And do you mind? Let's read verse 4. I want to bring up a point in verse 4.
It says, why you are abolishing fear of God and hindering prayer to him.
Wow.
That's what mine says.
So think about that. That's a pretty serious charge. So Eliphaz believes that this honest lament that Job has actually beacons faith. That's what he's saying. And in his mind, reverence equals restraint. So he's saying, you don't speak like this to God. You hold it back. You hold it inside. You stay pious. And you don't speak like this. But Job is showing us the opposite. He's like, nope, I'm going to God. He's the one that's put me in this position. I'm going to speak. I want to speak directly to him. But, whenever I give him one word, he comes back with 1,000. His immensity is so much, I can't handle it. And so Eliphaz is saying, like, your own mouth and the way that you're using it is condemning you.
I think that probably I read that wrong. It should say why. You are abolishing fear of God and hindering prayer to him.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Right. That's what Eliphaz, and he's wrong. It's the opposite. And so in verse 5, read verse 5.
Your iniquity is teaching you how to speak, and deceit is in your language of choice.
Again, that is so ironic because we know that God has said that Job is blameless.
I know.
And that he's upright. So now Eliphaz has elevated his interpretation above God's.
Absolutely.
Now he's above God, which is, boy, does that make you think of the Pharisees? Like,
yeah,
it does me. I used to read the New Testament only most of my life.
And it makes me exactly, and it makes me think of the time in the end when he said that in Thessalonians they will set themselves up above God in the temple, professing to be God.
So Eliphaz has taken on this really weird role. Watch this. This is wild. Remember, there's one other character that does this, who says something above God. You know who that other character is? The adversary, Satan.
Well, I was going to say Satan. I thought there might be someone else that I've missed out.
No, he's the accuser. He said,
Absolutely.
if you do this to Job, then he will curse you. He's talking about God. And God says, okay, then you've got me, you've drawn me into this. I'll let you do it. It's going to prove you wrong, but I'll let you do it. So the same way that Eliphaz is doing the same thing. He is saying that God, we know that God has declared him blameless, but he's saying no, he's not. So how can he know that? Because of his world religious system, the way that his brain, his morality, view is what's messing him up, right? So,
well, even the one that set himself up like Satan above God. I mean, even he knows that he's wrong in his thought process because he's already approached God and said to him, "Is there not anyone like him, blameless and upright?" He's already said that.
right.
So this is the whole reason for it. So therefore, we know right off the bat that Satan even knows the adversary that he is like that. So he's using these people to try and be in the place of God because he knows that at the end of the day, Job is absolutely blameless in anything he's done at all.
That's right. And
he's aware of the whole thing. It's like someone egging somebody on, isn't it? Knowing that basically what he's saying to them, egging them on with, is a load of old claptrap.
Yeah. Hey, read verse 7. This is such an interesting verse. Listen to what he says, guys.
Were you the firstborn of the human race, brought forth before the hills?
Why do you think he said that? Why do you think he asked that question? I'll tell you why.
I know who is the firstborn. Christ.
Yeah, it's like this. It's mocking Job is what he's doing. He's saying, are you older than everybody and you are the most wise? Are you the first man born in the human race? Like he's saying, are you really the ultimate, that's what Eliphaz is saying. Job never made that claim. Job never made that claim. This is the accuser again. This is the accuser running that trap. If you think Satan's went off around somewhere, nope. He's evident. The adversary is evident in the mouth of the worldview.
Right.
Look at the worldview.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You see it in people. I mean, you see sometimes in programs or films, you can see someone feeding somebody something, can't you? And they're quite weak-minded, or they maybe think that they're in some sort of position that they're not, or their ego's big and you can manipulate them. But you see it all the time. People saying stuff, and it gives them this sort of bravado, and they sort of like get bigger and bigger and puff themselves up as if what they're saying is the ultimate in all this. Mm-hmm. And this is what's happening now to these comforters. They're starting to feel their feet, even though Job's holding his own and starting to turn the tide in his own thinking. His own thinking is it's like if you're in a situation and you keep talking to yourself, or you go to God and you talk and you talk and you eventually start seeing reason, don't you? Mm-hmm. And I think that this is what is starting to happen to Job. In fact, the comforters, the ones that are speaking to him, are giving him the thought process to actually equate. Now, is what they're saying right? So they're putting, it's a bit like, once again, evidence in a court. You have all the evidence and then you make an assessment. Whereas if you haven't got all the evidence, you can't make a better assessment, a good assessment of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like the more they give to him, it's more evidence to a Job that, hang on, there's something behind this that I'm really not seeing. And he's starting through his own speech. So the evidence is the speech. Mm-hmm. And as Job comes back with it, he's giving his evidence. And then there's his evidence. And then there's his evidence. And it gets more and more and more clear until you see the end. You see that the judge starts talking, has listened to all the evidence.
Yes. And I hope you guys picked up what I was laying down just a minute ago. It goes along right with what Elaine just said. The evidence is in the speech, right? Okay. The seed of the serpent. You'll see it in the Pharisees later with Christ. He'll tell them, you are you brood of vipers. John the Baptist, you brood of vipers, you offspring of the serpents. When I used to read this book, I thought after chapter 2, Satan's disappeared and now we're just dealing with men. Wrong. The Satan, the adversary, remember, he was given control over the peoples, like the Sabians and the others that rushed in and hurt Job. He was given power for fire from heaven, power to give him boils on it. In the earthly realm, this voice that you're hearing from these people, it's from the serpent. The adversary, the accuser, is still there. The
Yeah.
accuser of the brethren. But it's wrong. He's using age. First of all, age is not a guarantee of wisdom.
No, it's not.
Experience is not a guarantee
again,
of wisdom either.
No, but again, in the sort of like in the scriptural thought of it, it's like when they all came to Christ and they all had stones to stone the woman. They all dropped them from the eldest to the youngest because, again, the youngest are impressionable. And we know that's not always the case because we know that Paul said that about Timothy. Don't let anybody look down on your youth.
Mhm.
But wisdom should be with grey hairedness. It should be. We're not
It
saying
should
it
be.
always is, but it should be. You know,
It
and we
should.
know that. We know that
Yeah.
by Elihu that starts speaking. So at the end of the day, we know that it's not necessarily, but he's going to be very respectful and just sit there.
That's right. Go to let's read verse 8.
Do you listen in on God's secrets? Do you limit wisdom to yourself?
Okay. Now, this is whenever you have an escalated argument like this, where he's starting, from his first to his second response here, he's elevating it up a little bit. Now, first of all, Job never claimed secret knowledge or, a position with God. He's asking for it. He's wanting it. So now Eliphaz is kind of like, just instead of Job being seen as being humble here, because Job's probably angry as he's doing it, but he's doing it from a point of humility. There's such a thing as humble anger. I know that sounds weird, but you can be
Yes, of course there
righteous anger, like things like, right? There is such a thing. So he's probably looking at that emotion. Eliphaz is looking at that emotion and that anger, and he's not seeing it as humility. He's misinterpreting it. He's seeing it as arrogance. He's seeing it as arrogance, as if Job is above everybody else and he's got access to the throne and he can do that. And that's what he's trying to bring up, right? And so Eliphaz says to him in verse 9, what do you know that we do not know? Which is the same thing that Job said, I already know what you guys know. And so now Eliphaz is turning a little bit. He's like, well, what is it that you know that we do not know? If you're the one, if you think you've got some sort of secret wisdom. And so read verse 10. It has to go with what you said with gray hair a second ago.
With us are gray-haired men, old men much older than your father.
Mm-hmm. So this is social pressure. If you think about it, what he's talking about is look around at all the gray-haired men. Look at all of these people, even your father. Now he's making it personal. Now this argument is went, oh, have you ever got an argument where like, you're just like your dad?
That's hideous.
Somebody was like, don't make me like my dad. Oh, you get mad, but he's making it personal. And he's like, you need to trust tradition. Even your father did so.
The sad thing is that at the end of the day, sometimes they're right. You are like your dad.
Yeah, I'm a lot like my father. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've learned.
There's the truth in that. Then you have to go away and think, oh, actually, I got a bit angry about that, but there might be some substance to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I learned that I actually have some qualities that I used to dislike about my father, but now in my older age, I like them quite a lot. And so,
I thought you said I see them in me, and I don't like them either.
No.
I thought there was a bit of humility coming, but no.
Right. So, go into verse 12 and 13. Read 12 and 13 again.
Why does your heart carry you away? And why do your eyes flash angrily, so that you turn your spirit against God and let such words escape your mouth?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
why?
But here's the thing. He is accusing Job of being driven by emotion, right? And that he has this evil or mean spirit towards God. It's because he's misreading this anger while he's in the midst of his struggles. He's misreading that, okay? And so for him, that emotion is the evidence of rebellion. For Eliphaz, he's like, this emotion is the evidence of rebellion. And that the pain that he's enduring, it's proof of some pride or something. That's what Eliphaz, this worldview I'm sorry I keep going over and over and over saying this is worldview, but that's what this is about. That's what this book is about. It's about an incorrect worldview, a misrepresentation of God, and being able to be honest, even if you're angry, and talking with God. That sounds weird. I remember people saying, you can be angry with God. And I used to get upset with them. I'd be like, how dare you get angry with God? But it's not that we're just angry at him. It's just our situations sometimes bring it out of us, and we're human. And that is one of the emotions that we have. And I'm asking you now, is God big enough to handle your anger? The answer
100%.
is yes. But get ready for an answer. Gird up your loins for an answer, though. Okay.
Well, the thing is, it's like anything, if you've got a father and he's very close to you, which obviously God is very close to us, aren't you allowed to be honest with your father, even in anger? Like I said last week, I've gone to God and said, you're my father. Why aren't you doing anything? If it was my child, I would step in there immediately. Why aren't you doing anything? And you're not angry with him because you just want to be angry with God and you've got some sort of right to be. It's because you know who he is. You love him that much, and you know he has that power, and he is that majestic, and he is that awesome, and he's that great, and he's that, there's nothing that God can't do. There's nothing impossible with him. So you're it's like appealing to him. Please help me. But of course, within that, then you start to sort of realize, and again, it's, like I said before, that God's waiting to you to come up to him and say, I'm so sorry, Daddy. And he says, come on, I'll give you a hug. Now, really don't want to behave like that, darling, because I'd never hold anything back from you. I know, Dad, you wouldn't. And it's back to that wonderful sort of beautiful, and you can imagine him giving you a big kiss afterwards, and you look at him saying, I love you, Dad.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It touches you, doesn't it? Yes. And that's how I feel that when I go to God, he's my daddy. Yes. I should be able to say these things to him without being totally irreverent and calling him all sort of names under the sun. Like some children are totally irrelevant.
Irreverent.
That's it. To their, I get tongue-tied, irreverent, that word, to their to their fathers. And you just think to yourself, no, it's not like that. Like you said earlier on, it's this humility because you know who he is. And I think this is it. I love the fact, when Job says in the last chapter, where he says, you will call and I will answer you. You will long to see him and you will make me again. And it's almost like he's now sort of having a conversation with God, and they're hearing it and they don't like it.
They don't. No, that's right. It's because of the emotion of it.
Exactly.
But watch this. This is going to be cool, guys. I'm going to try to tie this in. I wrote this. Once emotion is treated as disobedience, compassion disappears. So
there's that window.
Now I want you to listen to what Jesus said whenever Jesus was in his ministry. You have heard that it was said by men of old, the tradition, the worldview, to love your neighbor, but hate thine enemy. That's what you heard from your old traditions, your old worldviews, your old men of renown, let's say.
Gray-headed men.
The gray-headed men. Love your neighbor, but hate thine enemy. But I say unto you to love your enemy and to pray for them that use you, that abuse you, that hurt. Okay, Jesus is showing you ultimate compassion despite the emotions, whatever is going on. That's the ultimate compassion. Okay?
Just be merciful.
Yes. So Eliphaz, he's looking at the emotion of the man and he's reacting to the emotion of the man, and he's looking at it and he's saying, no more compassion. You're just being disobedient. But in reality, when Jesus says, love your neighbor and hate thine enemy, well, if the enemy is coming at you and doing you wrong, he says, do right to those who wrong you. Speak well of those who speak ill of you or wrong of you. So compassion and wisdom, it's all encompassing, even raw emotion from others. And that's what we have to learn from this. All right. Now, verse 14.
What is a human being that he could be innocent? Someone born from a woman that he could be righteous?
Well, here's the thing. He's actually responding to what Job had said earlier in chapter 14, because Job said the same thing. Okay. The only problem is that Job was asking that question in humility. He was looking at it like, how can an unclean thing become clean? How can you bring a clean thing out of an unclean thing? Like, how can I be pure? Right. And Eliphaz is shutting down this dialogue, right? It's the same kind of idea, the same kind of theology, but the posturing is different. And again, with that word posture, it's how you're approaching that. Job is like, how can I know I'm unclean?
Mm-hmm.
How can I become clean?
Exactly.
And then Eliphaz is like, how can you become clean?
Yeah.
See how the difference in the way that you're saying it,
Absolutely.
it's like a correct theology, but it's a different posture to it.
I mean, there's a different thought process arriving at that statement, isn't there? He's saying how can someone be born of a woman and be clean? How can they? But they're saying as if like, is a human being. How could he be innocent? Someone born from a woman, basically you, Job.
Yes. Right.
And
now,
he's coming at it from a totally fleshy human point of view. There's no spirituality in that statement at all. Where Job, he's starting to understand what God is. The Spirit of God is truly trying to work within him. And like I said, the more evidence that's provided, the more people are saying, we're talking about words here are the evidence, and they're promoting something within the realms of that evidence. And again, it's like the more people give to you, the more of the story that you have, the more that you can look at different angles. It's like someone that's a child that's really performing up, they're playing up, and they look like they're really naughty. Well, someone might say, why don't you control your child? But somebody might turn around and say, I'm ever so sorry, but we've just come from the hospital and they've just lost their mother. And I don't know what to do about it.
There's a paradigm shift. Ooh, now all of a sudden you want to be helpful, right?
Away, you think to yourself, wow, now I know why. And your heart just reaches out to that man and the children, and the compassion and the mercy just oozes from them. Whereas before you understood that knowledge, you just thought the father didn't care and they were just wayward children.
That's right.
Do something with your children. I'm sorry, we've just come, their mother's just died.
Yeah. I mean, and to think like that, to be ready. And I like how you put that. That was really good, Elaine, because there was something that I picked up that I thought about when I was reading Eliphaz attacking Job and Job's honest humility to God. And when he's doing it in anger and he's doing it like he's animated, I'm sure, is that Job never stops loving God.
No.
He never stops loving him. That's why he's able to talk to him this way. Because he does love him and he trusts him and he knows him and he wants to, he knows he's unclean and he knows he can't reach that spot. And he's like, what is man that you're mindful of me? I love you. I want to be with you. I'm trapped. I'm trapped. How do I get back to you? And fix it. And you're turning your face from me and you're letting all of this stuff come at me. You've done it, but I love you. I'm not going anywhere. I want to be with you.
Exactly. And this is the whole thing, isn't it? Where you love somebody and you know that you are born unclean. You're not in a clean state. You're not in an innocent state. You're not in a righteous state. He gets it. He grasps it. He knows that. But he's saying, what have I done outside that I haven't tried to make amends for, to offer up a sacrifice for, to love you for, to live my life righteously for? This man is really, really racking his brains to try and understand what he's doing. And he's just pleading to his father saying, look, tell me, Dad, what have I done? If I'll put it right, if I can put it right, I will. And this is the sadness that you feel from it. This man is so distraught inside and he's pleading with his father to open up the scene so he can grasp the scene more fully as to where he stands in the scene. Because all the evidence that he's got is not matching up.
That's right. It's not. You're exactly right. Okay. So now read verse 15 and 16. And guys, listen really careful. I'm gonna frame it for you this way. I want you to try to think. Hold on 1 second. I want you to listen to what Eliphaz says, but I want you to remember that he's the voice of the accuser.
Oh, dear.
He's the adversary. So listen to what he says in 15 and 16.
God doesn't even trust his holy ones. No, even the heavens are not innocent in his view. How much less one loathsome and corrupt, a human being who drinks iniquity like water.
Man, did you hear the accuser?
Out and have a little bit more stab.
All right. How does he know that? How could Eliphaz know that? Guys, this is the accuser speaking. And what's
Yes,
going on? Because he's in the heavenly places. He's in the one that's in that courtroom. He's around. And he's also the accuser. And he's saying that God, it's almost like when you read, I think it's Isaiah or Ezekiel that talks about the Prince of Tyre and how he tried to elevate
that's
himself.
right. Yeah,
You were
28.
once in the garden of God,
Yes,
and you were covered with the jewels and all that. And it goes to Lucifer, oh, Lucifer, star, son of the morning, or whatever. You
that's
know,
right. Yeah.
that serpent like behavior, that accuser is saying, even the heavenly beings are impure. How
Yes.
much more so you wicked, loathsome little tiny speck of a human?
Exactly.
Oh, that is
Exactly.
harsh.
Yeah.
He's coming at him. And now read verse 17, 18, and 19. I'm sorry to keep making her read it, but guys, you just got to hear it. You got to hear it. God's word does the work.
Absolutely. I will tell you, hear me out. I will recount what I have seen. Wise men have told it, and it wasn't hidden from their fathers either, to whom alone the land was given. No foreigner passed among them.
His theology is untainted. It is inherited. There are no strangers, no disruption, no new insights. Come to my system. It's a closed system. It works every time, Job. I am now your authority. God
Exactly.
should make you think of the God of this world. What it would say about the God of this world back in the time of Paul when he was
That's
mentioning
right.
it. This is a closed system. How are
Mm-hmm.
you going to get out? You're going
That's
to meet
right.
him in the air, not necessarily in the sky, but the point, the prince of the power of the air. It's a closed system. And this system that it's working through is, again, I'm going to bring you back to the garden, the moral, good and evil. This lens, it is rife with problems, and it's in this closed system, and it operates apart from God. It
And it's
listens to that of the
exactly.
accuser. It's the
Yeah,
accuser's voice that's coming through.
exactly.
That's what's
And
going on. That's the flesh. That's
that's right.
what the flesh is arguing with the spirit about.
That's right. And this is the whole thing. And this is where chaos reigns. It's in the hearts of people. It's in the spirits of people, and it sort of permeates. People don't get on that because one's thinking this and one's thinking that, and one's got an ego, and one hasn't. One's a little bit more merciful than that one. That one's not merciful at all. And there's all the, and it's chaotic. It's just
Mhm.
chaos. And yet
Yes.
Christ said, "I leave you my peace." This is the peace that we have in Christ. The world may be chaotic, but
Mhm.
in Christ, we are being refined, we're being changed and altered. And I think this is what's happening to Job. He's being refined, he's being changed, he's being altered. He can see the chaos. Us as Christians, we can look outside there in the world. We're no part of the world. We're in it, but we're not of it.
Mhm.
Because we have this peace within us. So we can see chaos, but we don't want to be a part of that chaos. And it's the same here as Job. I think that Job is starting to realize that all of this is chaos around him. And all of a sudden, as we further go on, he's starting to realize that amidst this chaos, all this stuff that's being put out there, he can start to see a little shaft of light.
Mhm.
He can start to see this little shaft of light. And as we go through the book, this shaft of light gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And then he understands what is actually going on. And it's beautiful. It's a bit like us, really, isn't it? Before we know Christ, we're in chaos. We don't understand what things, but the more we get to know Christ, the light gets brighter and brighter. We are like the lights that shine in the darkness. The world is dark. We are the light. And this is it. The more we understand, the more we know, the greater our walk with him, our relationship with him. We have this brightness, this awareness of why it's going on. We don't have to really. I mean, this is why I think I don't care what anybody says about me, really. They can say anything they like.
Mhm.
But it's not because I'm arrogant. It's because yes, if they say something to me like blah 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 or whatever, I might say, yeah, you got a point there. Actually, I do that. And that's where trust of friends comes in. Should be able to. I used to say when I was at a Bible study, I used to talk quite a bit because a lot of what they were saying, you used to think, well, no, because if you read that scripture, and I used to say to my friend, can you just cough if I'm speaking too much? Yeah, and she'd go. So straight away, I would know. But the thing is, it's trusting somebody, isn't it? Enough to turn around and say, well, actually, you're talking too much. And this is what I'm saying. I think it's it's knowing and having that confidence in who you are. And I think this is where all Christians should wise up a little bit. It doesn't matter if you admit something that's not right about yourself, or something that you want to improve about yourself, or something that you just find very difficult that you want to change about yourself. I think that is so freeing, and it's something really that will make us, our eyes of our hearts and our spirits open up towards what God wants us to become. And this is the honesty. And if you are honest and say to someone, yeah, you're right, I do that. Look, once again, it takes away their power. And this is what's happening with Job, as God is revealing himself by all of these things that's being said, by Job sort of going through these things in his mind. God is opening up himself to Job, and he's not even realizing it. And it's like us, how many times have we looked back and got, oh my gosh, God was working there, and I didn't see it. But now looking back, you see it. You think, gosh, even then he was working in my life. And this is the whole thing, and how many times do we have people? And the sad thing is, these people here are the ones that we need to pray for, the ones that are condemning, the ones that are sort of like have got egos, the ones that sort of like really want to elevate themselves to a position of, I know better than you. And we know that the church isn't a body anymore. The church is a pyramid. Mm-hmm. There's a system. It's a pyramid system. I'm up the top, you're down the bottom. You do what I tell you, and we'll all be okay. If you start sort of like getting a little bit out of that position that you've been put in, I'm going to come down hard on you. And I think that's what it is. And I think that's what people didn't like, the Pharisees didn't like about Christ, because he was freeing them. He was speaking truth to them, freeing them.
That's what that's what these three men don't like about Job. That's exactly the same exact thing. And
it carries on today. But there's nothing new under the sun. There's no emotion. There's nothing that you can bring to the table that says, oh, actually, that's a new emotion that you've brought. They're all there. Right. They're all there, Rick.
Nope,
right. And it's whether you choose to take on board something that is someone saying to you that is spot on, or whether you're trying to just crush them. There's loads of people out there that want to crush your spirit. But
well, I'm glad you said it that way, because that'll segue us back to where we were in chapter 15, because as we'll wrap up the study this way, because you can read the rest of this chapter. There's no need for me to say it. I'll say it like this, or no need for her to read it again. If you will read what he says happens to the wicked, and then go back in the first two chapters and read what happened to Job, you will see that the list that he's bringing is basically a charge against Job. Everything that happened to you happened because of something that you did and what you did. And again, remember, he is the voice of the accuser, and it's a closed system in his worldview. So basically what the accuser did in his closed system, he was walking to and fro on the earth. Okay. And we know later on, he's like a roaring lion seeking to devour, is what we know. That this serpent-like man who is now elevated and arguing, talking from this closed system, is pointing out that all the things that came upon you, all the calamity, all of this that happened to you, all the robberies, the fires, all the stuff that happened to you is because of you. It's because you are wicked. Because you are wicked. Now, the accuser is trying to prove that out about Job. He's trying to prove that to God by saying, Job, you're going to find out he is wicked. He'll curse you. If he curses you, then he's cursed. He's wicked. So the accuser is actually in the mouth of Eliphaz, and he is hammering him and telling him all the things that I just did to you is because you're wicked. Job's not going to take it for 1 second. Exactly. When you get into the next chapters next week, you'll see Job is going to elevate again. And guys, this book is so brilliant. It's such a brilliant book.
It is. And it's sad, isn't it? In a lot of people's elevation in their own self-righteous ways, what they want to do is belittle you.
Yes, that's right. And what did Jesus say? If speak well of those who speak, awful about you. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever done that? If somebody says, hey, you idiot, you say, man, how do you talk back about that? How do you look at them and say, bless you, brother. Bless you. Bless those that curse you. Hey, you SOB, God bless you, brother. Woo! Exactly. How are you going to do that? By the Spirit of God. If you're the branches and you're bearing the leaves, we talked about that yesterday. You're bearing the leaves, you're bearing that fruit. By the Spirit, you're bearing it. That fruit. Trees don't eat their own fruit. Trees bear for other people. That's what the fruit of love and patience and kindness is for. It's to give it out. Eliphaz doesn't have that. Eliphaz is a dried up Old windbag. He's the east wind.
He is. He's blowing a lot of hot air.
He sure is, and he's the accuser. So there, I hope you guys picked that up. I don't know if maybe I'm wrong. Please comment if I am, but I
No,
honestly believe that it's the mouth of the accuser in Eliphaz at this point, elevating and explaining exactly what Satan did to him, and
I think
saying,
we've got.
"Because you're wicked."
See, the thing is, as I said, we've got all the players. We've got you. We've got the courtroom. We've got God Himself. We've got the accuser. We've got these comforters. We've got the youth going to be speaking later on. We've got Job and his wife. We've got. It's just like this play, isn't it? And we're the audience, and we're looking on, and we can see all the aspects of what's going on here. And you're just thinking to yourself, you wait until the end. You wait till the end because we know the ending.
And even then, even in the end of Job, it doesn't quite get you there. There's still a tension that's left, and Christ himself is the answer to all of them. How can an unclean thing become a clean thing? How can something that goes into the dust go into the presence of God? How can somebody step out of the portals of glory, make himself a servant, even a servant to death on the cross, and then be given a name above every name and climb the highest heights, right? He was greater than all the angels, according to Hebrews chapter 1. And this man, Eliphaz, is like, even the angels are seen as it. Christ was made himself lower, went into the dust, went into the death, into the tomb, and 3 days later, gloriously resurrected, and then ascended to the right hand of the Father, and now God and the Lamb of the temple and the light. Oh,
it is wonderful. And again, talking about the end of it, we don't know what happened to those. All we know is God asked that they would be prayed for by Job.
Yeah, he blessed those that cursed him.
Yeah, and we don't know the outcome because the Bible doesn't tell. It's a bit like, again, with the prodigal son, when the prodigal son returned and the older son wouldn't go in. It doesn't tell us whether he actually went in or not. And that is the thing. It's always open-ended. And again, because I think the older son stands for the Old Testament, the old covenant arrangement. So God is saying, the Father, come in, join in with those that were lost. Come in, your brother was come in. He represents the New Testament. And the old one come in and sort of join that.
I think that the old represents the kingdom of Judah, and the new represents the kingdom of Israel that went off into a far country by the Assyrians, and then later on would come. That's how I've always seen it. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you could say then you go to sort of right Ezekiel, can't you? Sort of 38. It talks about them sort of I will hold the stick of Judah and the stick of Israel, and they will become one stick in my hand.
Well, and that's what Christ is doing, seeking out the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
We got Revelation 7 and 14, where once again the 12 tribes are sort of brought, although minus 1 or 2, but some have been put in there that weren't in there before and taken out. So he's incredibly in, and again, it's just wonderful. The whole thing is glorious. I
can talk about it for years and years, and I will with you on Rick and Elaine discuss the Bible. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this study. Elaine, as always, I love you, and thank you so much for just being ready and willing to do this.
Likewise.
Love it. And Dina and Alan and Tony and Tracy and Lori and Cherry and all of those who are watching and who have commented and who have not. Thank you for joining us and being with us. As you can see, Dina hopped in later on in episode 9 and 10 and made some comments. And so hop in whenever you want if you're listening and you want to. We love it. We appreciate it. Yeah.
And not only that, it's this sort of like this family again, getting to know what each other are thinking. It's nice to like I say, when you get to know me more, I love words. Words have a huge impact on me because they carry so much. And to hear the comments, it makes me feel so a part of them out there watching and listening. That it's just bringing God's children together, and I like that.
Imagine I like the that. Joy.
It makes me feel
when you see them. Imagine the joy when you finally get to see them face to face.
I know, and that's the thing, isn't it? When you look back in the scriptures and you see all these wonderful people, you just think to yourself, how amazing. Can you see me?
I can, yeah.
Okay. How amazing is all that? And you just think to yourself, they're my brothers and sisters. you know, you look at Noah, you've got Moses, you've got Caleb, you've got Joshua, you look at all of those faithful ones that went into the promised land, and you think of, you know, Isaac, Jacob, and all those, you know, King David, and everybody that was sort of faithful to God. They're our family. They are my family. And it's
That's
just
right.
like when I read about them, it's like my ancestry. I'm looking at my lineage. Why
That's
wouldn't I
right.
want to know about it? It's wonderful.
It is.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Tune in next week. We're going to get into Job's response to Eliphaz, and we'll say goodbye with a holy kiss. God
Absolutely.
bless you, and we love you all.
Yes, we actually, yeah, we do. We do. We love you all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. See you guys next week.
God bless.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
You come. No, I say it better than you.
Let's hear it.
You come back now next week. You hear? Y'all. Y'all. You gotta say it. We gotta say it when your face is a little bit on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna go eat me some a big old bowl of cornflakes, and take a dip in the cement pod.
Some corn. No,
cement pod.
You gotta get yourself some cornbread.
Cornbread. All right. See you guys.
Bye, y'all.
Fire